Vaheguru, 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 Vaheguru.
Back in those days, the gurus got rid of caste system. Why is it that, I mean, I came from Kenya, and I came here, the first thing out of Pug and everything, then I don't shame with me now, but the first thing Singhs with Pugs asked me was, who are you? And I said, what do you mean I'm a Singh? I went home, asked my mom, and said, where am I? And I said, yeah, she said, you're wrong, whatever. But why did they not, why did they just ask them the bad things, I suppose? And
you know, that's just like asking, why are people people? People are people, innit? Maharaj can do what they can. Like Maharaj, Kabirji says, Kabir.
Sorry, can you repeat the question, please?
The question is about caste. How come caste is still here? If Guruji got rid of caste, how come it's still here? It's a fair question because in many ways, we no longer do sati system. No sati, no wife burning in Sikhi nowadays, isn't it? Yeah? So that's one thing we stepped away from. Then education is allowed for girls as well. That's one good thing. The Gurdwara still tends to be equal. There's no separate room for women. So many things they did stayed, but how come caste crept back into our community? Yeah. Well, I think it's lack of education, and it's also probably, you know, some of it's probably the British fault as well. And you might think, how's that? Dekho, Bani says ki kabhi sacha sadgur kya kare jo sikha mein chook. What can the Guru do if the Sikhs are at fault? It's not our Guru's fault. And dekho, Shabari talked about in the Katha downstairs, is Updesh Chauvarna ko Sanja. Yeah? The Guru's teachings are equal to, are the same for all four castes. Jo bhi Sikh was feeling. Yeah? So what we've got now is that it's crept back into us, probably because of lack of education. People don't understand the Panj Pyare were of different castes. Yeah? They don't understand that in Guru Granth Sahib Ji there's a Brahmin and a Weaver and a Julaha, all of them are together. Yeah, Ravidas Ji is inside there. Right? So there is equality. A lot of the youth nowadays, they understand that, you know, I might be from Jat family, but I don't do any farming. I might be from Turkhan family, I'm not really very good at carpentry. I work at computers all day long. So therefore, it doesn't apply so much. And probably 1 or 2 generations here, it would change. But the British, when they came to India, they also said they had this idea of warrior caste. So they said Jats are warrior caste. So they actually pumped up the akkad of the Jats. Said, oh, you lot are warriors, yeah? Right? Yeah, so in a way they divided them. But also because that was one way to destroy Sikhi. Now you might say, why did the British want to destroy Sikhi? The British were actually quite keen to destroy Sikhi when they came to Punjab, because the Sikhs had been the one kingdom that had eluded them for many years. They got the whole of India, but Ranjit Singh wouldn't ever capitulate, and he was too strong, because he'd hired in French generals to train his army. So with Ranjit Singh, they had a treaty. Only when he died, Raja Ranjit Singh, then they went in and they created fights. They didn't actually go in straight away. They got the Dogras on side, and the Dogras were not Sikhs, they were Hindus, right? And they paid them off with Kashmir. The reason why Kashmir is a problem now is because the British gave Kashmir to Dogras for betraying the Sikh kingdom, because Kashmir was part of the Sikh kingdom. Then when Indian independence happened, the Dogras who owned Kashmir, they were the Rajas of Kashmir, they chose to go to India because they were Hindu, Brahmins. But they should have gone to Pakistan because the majority population was Muslim. So the Kashmir problem is down to what happened in 1849 with the Sikhs. But they brought Dalip Singh here, made him into a Christian. He's Ranjit Singh's son, they made him into a Christian. Right? They totally separated him from his family. They tried to kill Sikhi off properly. They really tried. They made a big cathedral right next to Harmandir Sahib. If you look at the old pictures, you see a massive cathedral. It was taller than Akal Takht Sahib, yeah? It was huge. Right next to Harmandir Sahib they made it. And they were predicting the end of Christianity, of Sikhi. They were saying that in 3 generations from now, people will be walking around saying, oh, these were Sikhs. These are what our ancestors used to look like. Even though they knew Sikhi was very egalitarian, so they tried to destroy Sikhi by first corrupting the Sikhs themselves. They killed off most of the Nihang Singhs, the warriors, and they expelled them, so they all went to Hazur Sahib. The second thing they did is that they tried to attack our education system. So they killed Prachar, basically. Yeah. And the Singh Sabha movement was designed to bring Prachar back in, that things had fallen so low. And one of the things they did is that caste system thing. They made the Jats become very, even though in the hierarchy, Jats are at the bottom. Yeah, they're not Brahmins, they're quite low down. They're farmers, isn't it? Right? But what they did is they pumped them up full of like, oh, you guys are great, you guys are warrior caste. And and so therefore they thought we're the best thing since sliced bread. Yeah, and that was all designed to divide us up. Yeah. So it's many reasons. Also, people like pride in it. Hankara is very common. It's one of the panchor, so obviously it's going to be very powerful. And it's one of the hardest of the panchor to kill as well. It's the last, so that one is the hardest one, and they just pump that, they just use that to make Sikhs get away from Sikhi. And we fell victim to it as well. Ajkal people, in our community, there's some gurdwara, there are Jat gurdwara, some gurdwara are like Ramgadi gurdwara. Why is that? One of the reasons is because they keep the Jats out. If you put Ramgadi Darbar, no Jat, Sandhu, Gil is going to turn up and become the committee mala. Why is he going to join a Ramgadi Gurdwara? See what I mean? So it was designed to keep them out. Yeah, it wasn't designed because we want to be a caste, because to keep them out, because they're so overbearing.
Vaheguru